What's the hardest job in New York City?
Sanitation.
Being a police officer.
The people that are always trying to give the bus tours. Getting rejected every single day.
What do you think it is?
It's like a mayor job.
I have made it clear I hate rats.
Try being a musician.
Some of the construction jobs.
There are a lot of really hard jobs in New York City. This video is about just one of those jobs. Do you know what a structural ironworker is?
Those are the people who put the steel beams on skyscrapers, right?
Structural ironworking is not only physically demanding and requires serious nerve, it's also one of the hardest jobs in New York City to get. In a recent year, there were 4,800 applications for 200 spots at the Ironworkers Training Facility, a 4% acceptance rate on par with Harvard. We paid a visit to the Ironworkers School to learn a little bit more about the people who send New York City into the clouds.
My name is Bryan Brady. I'm the Director of Training for Ironworkers Locals 40 and 361. We build the buildings, the stadiums, the schools, the structural elements of those buildings and bridges. Ironworkers build that, and this is a school where they learn how to do that.
What is this thing?
That's a crane hook. So the crane comes down, and a crane operator, he'll lift that steel up 1,000 feet in the air, whatever you need it, and bring it up to the job site. The day you show up on a job site, it's just a hole in the ground. You put a column up, you set steel around it, you gotta climb from the ground 100 stories in the air, you just build that building 2 floors at a time.
New York City's earliest skyscrapers date back to the late 1800s and were made possible through a series of technological advances, including the development of iron-framed buildings. The same basic techniques from back then are still being used by iron workers today. What's the hardest part about this program, about school?
Probably third-year welding.
Welding is basically how you glue the pieces together.
Right. You're melting them together, basically. An interesting thing is, if you had a beam and you welded it together, if that's a good weld and an earthquake hit, the steel itself would rip before that weld. A good weld is stronger than the steel itself. To enter the program, there's a written exam and then a physical exam. You climb the column, there's a bell up top, 35 feet up.
I came in here and I met Bryan Brady. He's like, can you climb a column? I was like, I don't know, I never did it. And he put me right on the column, I climbed it, and then...
He just put you right on the column and said,
yeah, he said,
just
have
go.
you ever done it? And I was like, no, I was an operations manager at IKEA.
Climbing the column, how fast are you?
Oh, that's me right there. I'm Tony Bailey.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
How'd you end up here? Why did you want to join the Ironworkers Union?
A lot of my family members were ironworkers, so I'm a 4th generation ironworker.
So like, we're talking way back there. How'd you hear about ironworking?
So I had a friend in the business. She was like, it changed her life. I should go try it.
So I worked out in the field for 21 years, and I've been here for the past 18 years. So the first job I was ever on was at 59th Street Bridge, but I worked 7 World Trade Center the first time it went up, 180 Maiden Lane, 85 Broad Street, 75 Park Place was a new building, 1540 Broadway was a new building. Unfortunately, in 2001, worked at the World Trade Center during the cleanup and the rebuilding, quite a few places in Manhattan.
Yeah, I get the sense that there's a great deal of pride, right? When you think about New York City, what do you think about? The skyline.
If you're standing up on a skyscraper with basically just a rope holding you between life and death, you're like, damn, I don't want to die. Just that level of mental taxation is difficult.
The first 6 months I was like dying every day after work, but you feel like accomplished.
Yeah.
You feel like badass when you're like sweaty, and I like that aspect of it.
I work on the George Washington Bridge right now. Every time it's like, hey, I put that bolt in, or I did this.
That's something that lasts forever, way longer than any of us are going to be here.
Right now I'm working at 1 Times Square. It's the building with the ball, the New Year's ball on top.
What's your favorite part of the job?
The people I've met, we look out for each other.
When do you finish? When do you actually become a journeyman?
We finish school at the end of May,
Yeah?
and then in September we get sworn in at our local meeting.
What happens when you're a journeyman? What does life look like in New York City for you?
Oh man, that's like a big change. Yeah, this is life changer right here.
My name's Cade Stacy.
Ryan Travers.
Arthur Bowen.
I'm Sam Vito.
Tony Bailey.
Alex Garcia.
My name is Bryan Brady. I'm the Director of Training for Ironworkers Locals 40 and 361, who are the structural ironworkers in New York City, Long Island, Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, and Westchester.